this thing can go with us.
All right, today is March 9th, 3 o'clock, Wednesday. This is the Gateway Services Stoneybrook Advisory Committee meeting. In attendance is myself, Janice Lancaster, Virginia Stacy, and Dick Zukowski, which is 4, which gives us, now we have 5. We have JT Thomas, which gives us a,
More than a quorum.
more than a quorum, that's right.
Okay.
I thought you said,
At this point in
Nicole
time,
was
I'll just
coming.
mention, I understand that Nicole has resigned. I see that it's on item number 4 over here.
Yes.
We'll get that out of the way. She sent in a letter, she got a job change, so
Yes.
we still have the same requirement of 4 people right now for a quorum, and we have met that with 5. The only person who's not here is Thomas Roller, who is out of town. Have you had a chance to look at the minutes? I know JT has, and if you want, I'll give you a minute just to look
Well, I
at
looked at
that.
some of the mid,
I looked at them online.
the online, but I didn't get to read them all. I got some of the Manscaped. I need to get the minutes. So.
Oh, they're on the tape here.
Oh, okay.
What's this stuff? I'm looking at this now.
There was an accident. Just got caught up bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, coming from the kickball.
Okay.
There were 1 or 2 changes that I did send back to you. Did you ever have a chance to go over that? I'm looking to see if,
I think I did.
because I don't have the capability, at least I don't know how to do it with the red
I
line.
think
Someone's got to show me how to do that.
whatever you sent me, I.
And used, okay.
Elle is in the building too, if you need her.
Yeah, I would like to see her.
Yeah, especially with these bids.
She said, we need her.
One of the issue also is discuss a couple of the responsibilities.
What's he talking about?
I don't have a copy for everybody, but I do have a map here. And if anyone wants to see that is color-coded, that we've had for some time, that defines whose responsibility is where. And we do have a couple of issues today to discuss.
Do you have the ability to make copies of this, right, Diane?
Something
With the
that's been-
colors, so we can.
Yeah, I can do that. Do you want
Because
it?
this is the only one you have, right?
Well, I got it from the office. I
Sure.
do have one at home, and she's got one. Yeah,
I'll just make a bunch.
well, yeah, this is bigger though, probably easier to see. Or maybe,
Yeah, because I would like to have it for my own,
Oh,
just
maybe
to
it
have
is
it
the
in my
same
own
size,
map
yeah.
reference. Hi, did you run here?
Minutes look good.
Scott.
You need a ride home?
yeah, I did go through these
Um,
already, and I
you better
did,
talk. I don't know. Would you want to work here?
I'm crazy, but not that crazy.
Is April gonna be here too?
Iffy. She's on site right now.
Oh, okay.
And I don't anticipate her. If she comes back, I'd be surprised.
who's this, Elle, or?
April.
April.
April. Oh, she is on site?
No, she's
Off-site.
off-site.
Off-site, yeah. Yeah, they scheduled a meeting for her and, for an interview. Any questions about these minutes?
Nope.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second? Give that to Virginia. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Follow-up regarding hole and fence. Now, Nicole's not here, she's the one that brought it up.
Yes.
I never saw it. Do you know has anyone seen it?
No?
Do you know if Elle took a look at that or anything?
I don't, but I can go ask. Okay, That's your copy, Joe, and you can pass those on.
Okay.
Let me see.
Hang on to these, only for your own information purposes. Margaret made these up, at least a couple, maybe 3 years ago, and Bill was I believe, the CAM at the time. And what it is, we've color-coded segments of the property of Stoneybrook. And you'll see some hash lines in some places, and other things have color-coded. And there is a key at the bottom. And it essentially identifies the nature of those sections, when they're supposed to be maintained by Mainscapes or whoever the landscaper is, as well as the purplish color, that is the responsibility and maintained right now by Gateway Services. And the yellow is area that we maintain and pay for in common area. The issue that we have today, that we'll bring up in a little bit, but it's going to be about at the end of Greenstone on the right-hand side. Hard to see it, but there's preserve area there. And the question has been, who's responsible for a piece of property immediately behind 12400 on Greenstone?
You know what square that is? What address square that is?
When you say address square, no, sure.
Like, what?
Which
lot?
I am not sure, but I think it's right around here.
I can actually look it up real quick.
Where, Joe?
I think it's right around here.
Well, it's on
Oh,
this
down
picture
there.
here.
All the way down.
Oh, where am I looking at now?
Yeah, because we really didn't get down to it on the agenda yet, but it may be there. Let's see, that's minutes.
So 12400. Okay.
Hmm.
So we're looking at.
Yeah, here's the
Triangle,
picture here.
triangle, skinny.
That's a good picture.
That. It's this one right here. Are they dead or are they just tall?
Margaret, who's,
Cause you know I went back there and we cut some of them back there.
the tree, Margaret has seen the trees and says they're living trees.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
Put
these
the other
palm
one
trees
in
back
there.
here?
Thank you.
No,
The pine.
The pine.
no, she told me there were oak trees that she was talking about.
So we don't care about the other stuff then, alright?
Well, let's wait till Margaret gets back in here before we even go there. Right now, the agenda, hey, how you doing, Al? Did you ever get a chance to look, remember Nicole at the last meeting brought up something
Yeah,
about
she said there was a hole in the fence.
a hole in the fence? Does that ring a bell with you?
It's in the minutes.
Yeah, and then you requested her to go back and.
And get back to us, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, it was her that was supposed to get back to
Yes.
us. And she didn't, okay, and she's on the committee.
So it's okay.
I don't know anything about a hole back there, and I was back there looking at the hatchet job they did, trimming that.
Well, you know what? Where she's talking about is right next door to Vicky's house. Maybe ask Vicky if she knows anything about a hole in the fence, because it's Jerry's house, her neighbor, her attached neighbor.
Uh-huh.
So Vicky might know.
Vicky
I
lives in the
can
villas?
ask, I can
Yeah.
ask her
Yeah,
later
that's-
on
that's
and then
Warren's
just
wife.
go look
Yeah.
at it.
Oh. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I really didn't know that.
yeah, that's not hard to understand, yeah. Actually, she wasn't down here for a while when Warren was here. She'd be working up north, it was up north one at the time, until recently.
No,
She knows nothing about it?
no.
Okay.
I know she hates to get involved.
Yeah, this is behind the villas, she said, Nicole.
Yeah,
Bukowski.
right
Yeah,
by her
yeah.
house.
Okay, right, for now, we'll just pass
Wait,
on
by
that.
her, behind
Yeah,
her house?
nothing.
Well, next door to her house.
Next to whose house?
Next door to Vicky's.
Oh, okay, so we're talking the fence, okay.
I was just back there, and I didn't see a hole in the fence. The only thing I could think of, maybe they were hopping the fence, they were getting through a weak spot in the actual, where the hedgerow is or something.
I think if there was a hole, I think one of these neighbors would have seen it.
That's what
Yeah.
I was
And would have
just
been
about to
reporting
say.
it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't one of the neighbors have
Well, I think
complained?
that's how supposedly Nikki was saying something, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but when did she ever go back there?
Well, don't they live over there?
They live over,
No,
they
they
live
live
over
on my
here.
side.
I think somebody else must have got over here there, because there was some complaint about kids getting through going one way or the other on that area. In any case, we'll let that drop for now, because I didn't see a hole until somebody tells me there's a hole. There's no
Okay.
hole. All right, number 4 is the resignation of Nicole. We've talked about that. She has a job change. Any comments about that one?
Nope.
Okay. Committee requests and audience comments, we're not ready for that yet. Let's go to the discussion. Ellie, you got a couple of things here about recommendations for doing some more planting, I believe. You have some emails sent out to me?
Yeah, there was a couple of proposals on there for some, to redo the, Crooked Creek cul-de-sac, where we put in the crotons, and then there was children playing in there, and like 20 of them were broken off. But they're not doing well anyhow, so this is Mainscape's proposal. The proposal they gave us, they split the cost with us 50-50.
I do remember that discussion, we were talking about doing that, okay.
Right, because they recommended the crotons are not doing good, but on the, right after we put them in, half of them were broken off anyhow, so they proposed to replace it, redo the whole thing at 50-50 cost, which I think was $342.
I had it in an email as an attachment, but it's not, oh, yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's in the minutes, Joe.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
342.
342, that they would, remove all of the crotons that were put in and replace with, dwarf exhorts.
and you should recommend that we do this?
I would, yeah, then it's gonna look more like, the Greenstone cul-de-sac.
Okay. Any comments on this?
No.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, that was Virginia and JT. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Let's go now, the other one is, what's for 164? Cam sod, I think we talked about that already. Or is this an addition?
Yeah, that was, this is in addition to, this is just something that recently happened out there. And after I got that proposal, we thought FPL did it. I'm not so sure, so.
Where's the spot at?
Is this the
It-
spot that
it's-
was dug up there, like a vehicle went up off the
Yes,
road? What-
yes.
Yeah,
It's
what
really
was that?
deep.
Is that the one that's past Stone Valley Loop
Yes,
on the left-hand side?
well, if you're headed out, it's on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Or headed towards Greenstone, it's on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I
It's
looked
really
at
deep.
that and I thought that might have been a piece of equipment that went up there to service the lift station.
It
Well,
was. It was
Now,
the big-
that's why I said now I'm not exactly so sure, so please hold off on that one.
All right,
That-
because that's
that-
what, because I
that
saw
might
a
be
vehicle
something that
up
we-
there.
I saw it too. that,
Yeah.
they were-
Well, you know what I think? I think that earlier that there was another truck up there, and it might have been when FPL was working out there, but then we were recently in there, so.
Okay. Because that would have been my
Disregard-
guess. I saw it
disregard
right
that.
after that when I was coming back from somewhere. I saw it going out and I saw the things in the, if that's the area you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, are we still gonna need the flex lilies and the pine straw, or no?
No, that was, that's in a different area.
That's a
Is it-
different area, that's a different
I'm not-
subject. We're on the Fordham side.
Oh,
This
I'm on
is-
Florton side, but I'm on a different invoice.
This is for $164 you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just disregard.
All right, so
that
we'll
one.
hold off on even, I wouldn't bring that up.
I see what you're doing.
Now, we got the 1,300 for Sable Palms.
What you think. No, the other floor cam sod that we were requesting in like the big picture proposal where
Yeah.
after Janice and Kathleen and I went out and did the drive-through and looked at everything, we had like 4 pallets of sod included within
Mhm.
those proposals.
I thought we approved that already, didn't we? No?
No, which were for either A, tightening up some of those beds after we remove the jasmine and replant, tightening up some of the beds, and the extras would fill in the place where the bench didn't go, and we would remove some of the we would pick an area with the most crabgrass, the carpet grass infestation, and
In all honesty, you gonna put sod right over that cement pad there, or,
no, it was where there was one supposed to go,
right?
but it didn't go in.
But I thought they put some cement in there already, didn't they?
Oh, I thought it was a bare spot.
Double check that.
I thought it was a pad that,
Yeah, there's a
Okay,
pad there.
Well, then, I don't know, we're not
I
putting.
don't think we're gonna put sod on that,
No.
that ain't gonna survive. I mean, it is below the ground level, but, it's gonna be like
Okay.
2 inches thick, and,
No,
on top of the
it's-
hill, they
it's
got
got a
enough moisture
concrete
there.
pad in there,
Yeah,
but still,
What,
we would
even if
need,
there's
but
a
on the
slip slab
overall
out there?
picture, when you and I
Yeah.
were out there driving around, would
Should we break
they,
it up?
you know, there's some areas with crabgrass that we were talking about that, you know, we would spray it out, cut it, spray it out, and replace it with Floratam.
Now, coming up the boulevard, our boulevard, a lot of bushes had orange,
Tape,
Tape on them.
those are the ones that
That
are
are
marked
coming
for
out.
removal.
yeah, that's what I
And
figured.
if you remember, Mainscape was said, you know, some of these ones that was just a bush beside the telephone tower, they didn't put that on the contract, so he went ahead and he tagged a lot of things for them to go ahead and cut it down.
okay.
Because
They're
they
definitely-
weren't gonna charge us for that anyhow.
They're definitely dead anyway.
Yeah, I know, it's looking pretty ugly out
And some
there.
of them are pretty thin, so
Yeah.
yeah, just make them disappear, nobody
Yep.
will miss it.
Yep, yep,
Exactly.
yep.
So that's why those are tagged.
Okay.
Okay, so this 1,300 here. And I assume you're recommending this, that we do this also?
Well, this is behind someone's house.
What you getting for?
This
What, the
is-
1,300?
Yeah, I think so.
They're pictures.
That is an area, and that is just for your consideration. That's why I put it in there as a discussion item only. It is an area, right behind a resident that lives on Gemstone. It's kind of in the common area that is in between Weatherstone and Gemstone.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you something. It's my understanding that area there is the responsible of Gateway Services.
It's preserved.
No, it's not
It's just a
preserved.
common area. We mow it. We do mow it in there. It's just never been on the Mainscape contract to maintain that bed that's in there. There's, Fakahatchee grass and 5 or 6 sable palms.
Well, if you mow it, how come you're not taking care of the?
Gemstone.
Because that's what their
I have the
contract
picture,
was,
I have the picture,
was just a mow.
I have that picture. So then you're just responsible, you're saying, for just mowing the grass there and not maintaining any of the other plants in there?
Yeah, we've never trimmed the trees, we've never trimmed the shrubs,
We're spending $840 on weed control.
a year.
That thing floods in his wet part of the year, you can't even cut it.
Yes, you're right.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to,
Take a walk over
Yeah,
there.
like
well, I
I
wanna
say,
table this one until next meeting, and let's talk about this,
absolutely.
all right?
That's what I say. That was just for your review and just for you to see it.
Yeah,
It was
walk over there and take a look at it
requested.
together.
Sure.
Because if you look, and I did walk back there, this looks like it was planted for privacy. Now, whether Lennar did it or whether one of these homeowners did it, there's also other areas where there's something similar, like right here, and those homeowners take care of that.
So
Mhm.
just,
I mean, whether it's actually in the B1 tract or whether it's on the homeowner's property, it's very hard to tell.
There's a fine line in the grass there that you just can't see.
I mean, because I've got trees behind my yard that are not mine, and I still prune them and I still take care of them.
I cut the grass behind my house right up to the berm, and that's not my property either.
So, like I say, these were just items for your review and discussion. It's
This
totally up to you what you
this
wanna do
needs
with
a
it.
Well, this, I wanna kick the can down the road, and we're gonna take a look at this, and I wanna, and there was some discussion Margaret and I had whether or not this is something that was planted, if not by this owner, maybe by a previous owner of that house, that we should not even be, thinking about, you know, that
There's a lot of
really
owners
his
that-
problem.
But there's a lot of people out there. No one's gonna be planting sable palms in their backyard, are they? That's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I would walk over there. We can do it on the way home.
that's something, again, that can be tabled and, you know, you check it out and you let me know what you wanna do with it.
Yeah, I just don't
I made
understand.
I made no promises.
There is, I have, it makes no sense that,
Is this the one we're?
Lennar would have put that in there behind that one
Is this
spot
the
there.
one we're
It
looking at?
doesn't, you're right, Joe, it looks that way.
And the other houses don't have it, and, I know there's some sable palms closer to the sidewalk over
Yeah.
there we've had
And
issue
we
with
do
that.
trim and maintain those.
I know, and in fact, we've replaced a couple of them because
Yes,
they
we
had
have.
died.
You need to look when you're back there, because the picture that you have is not as clear. You can't tell, but there are sable palms about 2 doors down that would be that would look the same. And it looks like the homeowner is taking care of that.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about the one next to, this is Cheryl's mom's here. She must be talking about that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's the one next to Cheryl mom's house, right? You're
Mhm.
talking about?
well, yeah, the second house in.
If I remember right, there's a renter in that house, isn't there? Unless that's sold. All right, well, I will say this, Margaret, though, that as I look at this other little cluster of trees, it looks like it's a little bit further from the house than the one that you're referring to next to Cheryl's mom's house. That's closer. This is.
It's possible,
Protrudes more into the common area.
it's possible.
Uh-huh. All right, we'll take a look at it. We will make a decision on that. Anybody object to that?
No?
Okay. All righty, then we have the other,
The greenstone.
the Greenstone site.
That's the one I thought. you
Now,
were looking at.
I haven't walked back there, I have in years past, but I haven't looked back there this time. Margaret did. And.
Who took these pictures?
And, I'm not sure who took these pictures.
I did.
You did, okay.
And, for what Margaret tells me, we're talking about 2 oak trees?
Pine trees.
Pine trees. Okay.
Is it, I mean, they don't look dead, because
No, they're not.
we've already cleared the dead ones out.
They're not
We
dead.
just did that.
Okay, that's why that tree was cut.
The one that was cut and laid back there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it was
Okay.
preserved, they cut it and left it because they can't remove.
No, that's where that tree was cut. That is actually Stoneybrook at Gateway Master Association property.
Okay.
When I heard that, I was shocked, but looking at this map, without knowing precisely where the tree is relative to the property line, but there is a segment back there, I didn't realize that, you're right, this piece right here. There's a line of demarcation right there, and this piece looks like it's over here. Here is preserve and there is preserve.
So you're
Yeah,
talking
if
about
you-
that really skinny part
Yeah,
right there?
Yes, if
yeah.
you look at the property appraiser's website, I went back there, I don't think I included a picture of it on there, or did I?
But everybody, well, I don't know.
The property appraisers.
I think you did. Let me see. I remember seeing something.
Yeah, going back one.
Yeah. This one right here.
If you see, this is a preserve,
Yeah,
the, wetland boundary, these are wetlands, and this is, I marked his property, but this is, HOA property right here, he's about 25 feet
The
off
tree
of
that
it.
was cut back here, that was laid down, where's that at?
It's right here,
It's right there, okay, because that was a dead tree.
yeah,
When we got the beds from Anchor, it was cheaper for them just to cut it and leave
and
it
that's fine,
than
yeah.
to cut it.
and haul it out.
Yeah, because my father-in-law, he ended up just, the one that was left behind his house, he just cut it up himself.
Right, now the 2
Got rid of
trees
it.
that, he's concerned about are not dead.
Then we're not cutting them.
I would agree with that.
So-
And they do
and
appear,
again,
and on this picture, with the overlay, they do appear, no, that's not 100% accurate. I've seen these things be off.
Oh,
These
yeah.
kind of lines.
Well, see, yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
you can see their setback
Yeah,
right there.
right
yeah.
here, it should be the property line out there.
Well, we don't own the first 8 or 9 feet.
Yeah, there's a PUE out there, but
Yeah.
you see how this one's right
They're-
above
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
They're
that, it
they're
is
all-
So it
offset.
should be,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
offset.
offset, but,
Yeah, which
so
would bring it
that's why I
closer.
just measured from this line to this line.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I didn't measure from the front to the back, I just measured in
And they were
between the-
definitely not on his property then?
It's definitely not, no, I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
I would
I
say
do
they're,
not, I do
They're
not-
definitely not in the preserve.
I do not believe that they are in his private property.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that they are within this buffer area, this, master association property right there. But again, they're not dead,
why does he want them cut?
they're tall.
They're tall, he's worried about
He's
him
worried
falling
about-
on his
yeah.
pool cage.
Jesus.
Is this the
Come
one
to
two
my
four
house,
zero
you
zero?
see tall trees, man.
Pardon me?
I know,
This is
you big ones back
Royal
there.
palms.
I was out of the room.
Well,
Huh?
I've had a pine tree fall in my backyard and take out other trees, so I'm probably
What's
one
really
of the
funny
few in this
is-
community that actually experienced it.
Right
These
here's a
things
big old,
grow. I got
huge
'em.
royal palm.
It was all
Yeah, it was
dead.
planted by one of them, yeah.
know?
Big royal palm.
That's, well, Margaret
turned that
said
thing
that's a
up-
greater
I turned
risk
that thing
than
up
those
firewood.
other palm trees are.
Which one?
There's a couple of royal palms that were planted by a neighbor over
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and one of them's closer to his pool
Oh
cage,
yeah,
it's
look,
bigger than.
look at his Areca palms. I mean, those things are huge for Arecas.
And again, those items were put in there just
He's in
because the
violation
residents
already.
called me out and asked me about it. And I explained that I could not make the decisions to do anything, that I had to bring it to the attention of the committee and get my direction.
At this
So-
point in time, I'm gonna ask you not to do anything, because I
Yes, sir.
do,
No
I do
problem.
believe you're correct, and not on the preserve, so therefore it really isn't your responsibility. I think it's gonna be up to us to decide, our board, not take it back to them, and to decide whether or not this is on his property or our property. And if in fact they are live, healthy trees, there's no need
They
to be
are
cutting them
live.
down.
They are.
So, that's almost a
They're
no-brainer.
Should we even bring it up to the board then? Just go back and say
Well, we got a
it's-
week and a half to our meeting, it can be a quick decision. and
At
we
least
can
you've done
just-
your due diligence.
Yeah,
That's
and,
right.
and it'll be a matter of record, and we will send him a letter from the office saying that those trees are alive and not, should not be cut down.
Yeah.
Or at least you guys aren't gonna cut.
Yeah.
And I would recommend if you're gonna, when you go to look at the gemstone property, that you
Mhm.
swing by this one too, so that you see what's back there, because there could well be encroachment into our
Preserve,
B1 tract.
which in the picture it shows that there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But saying that, remember back in the day when I planted some things back in mine, just because having something back there was better than having endangered, invasive, cut down, sprayed, killed, and I planted some stuff back there. I mean, he's planting. What is he planting? What's back there? Because there's some.
There's majesty
Boxes.
palms,
Boxes around trees.
and palm trees and mango.
See, I made mine kind of
mango
like natural
trees.
preserve.
There's quite a green thumb living there.
This isn't the same one that you've had problems with before with encroachment on the
No.
preserve, is it?
Well, no, not really,
Okay, because I know a couple of properties back there did
yeah.
start wandering.
And that's why
over.
we put up the signage, because we were
I
getting
saw
a
the
lot
sign.
of,
Yeah.
we were getting a lot of stuff in the preserve back there, so.
Was this the fellow that
That's,
had the really green thumb out in the middle of the preserve?
You mean the
No,
pot?
I don't know.
No,
No,
that's,
I know what you're thinking.
I think that was on the other side of
Yeah,
Greenstone.
there was
There's
a
one?
couple
Yes.
houses on
Yes.
down from him, but
Yes.
yeah, that
Way-
is,
way down.
I think it's.
By the
That's
cross
when I had a
street.
couple teenage sons.
The same
Um,
amount
Much
of
to the
of
cul-de-sac.
tall trees.
Yeah,
What's that sign say, Al?
it says, it's conservation, it's a protected conservation area. No dumping, no motorized vehicles, no planting, no filling, no construction.
Okay.
He's planting a jungle back there, you know?
Actually,
Actually,
This is
it's not a bad
400.
area, it's pretty,
no,
you
it's
know,
pretty remote and kind of secluded back there.
Yeah.
There's a house, I think, is the one next to him or very close to him? There's one for sale back there too, I believe.
Yeah, I think there is. And also back there in that area, there's, several native terrestrial orchids that grow in there.
On the preserve or on our property?
Inside the preserve,
No kidding.
yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
They're not real showy, our native ones are not real showy like the imported ones that you see, but it's still cool to find them.
Yeah.
Mhm. Something exists.
Okay.
All right, you want to take a ride back there after this?
Yeah, as long as I don't have to switch vehicles, I can do it.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else for Al?
How do we feel about the, enhancements that, was,
The other bids?
yeah, the big ticket item?
The $13,000 one?
Yeah, the big ticket items.
I actually thought we had approved it, but if anybody wants to make a motion, we've reviewed this before
I
and,
thought you were gonna present it to the master.
and we did, we discussed it,
Okay.
and there was no objection there. It
Okay.
wasn't a formal vote, but it was more of a presentation, as I recall. Is that how you remember it, Margaret?
I'm sorry.
At the board meeting.
At the board meeting, I just made a mention that we were looking to spend X number of dollars at the, through the 004 fund and here, and that we would be approving it, but I wanted to mention it to them, there was no objection there. So as far as I'm concerned, I'd be willing to accept a motion to approve the recommendation by L as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the Manscaped bids for the $13,311 in the 4 or 5 bids.
Yeah, there was several proposals
Yeah,
there.
and I think we were okay with the ones that we did
Okay.
review. I need a second for that.
I'll second that.
We'll give this one to Dick.
6 bids.
Okay,
Any more discussion on those? I I know it was a month ago, but, we had pretty hashed that over.
Well, we wanted to wait.
Yeah,
otherwise
no, I
it-
wanted to
it-
present to the board. I wanted to make sure nobody gave me a hard time about this.
Right, and we didn't wanna start doing anything until probably mid-March anyhow, make sure that, well, we all know that we're past any frost time now,
Yeah,
but,
but also, you like to get into the rainy, you know you're gonna get moisture from rain.
Right.
We still got a couple months for that, but we're getting closer. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
So we're gonna drive past Gemstone, drive past Greenstone tonight. Now the concrete, that's.
Hang on,
under
let me
the-
just close this one up. Motion passes as presented, and we'll do
Thank
that,
you.
okay?
we will take care of that.
Anybody have any more questions for Elle before we let her go? Thank you all.
Let her go to
Uh-oh,
work.
we got a question from, the audience.
It's not a question, it's an observation.
Yeah.
And that was where they're having to repair the irrigation piping on Pebblebrook in front of that lift station.
I know, it's
You
been,
can see where, like, dual tire tracks rode over that. And I don't know if it's the vendor that's working on the lift station, but they really have got to stay off of that, because the Mainscapes guy was talking to him, and he said that down by the lift station and closer to Greenstone, they're gonna have to do the exact same thing, dig it out and replace the cracked pipe. And that's gonna get costly if that happens over and over and over.
that's right, and that's what kind of the place we were talking about earlier, and I'm not positive, and I do not wanna point fingers, but I think that might have been our truck. Either our truck or maybe,
That's not
the
Siemens,
back
is it?
truck,
The back truck.
Yeah.
sewer viewer.
I'm not sure, I know it's more convenient for them to pull up closer and try and get off the street, but I really think we need to advise them that they shouldn't be doing that. 'cause
Some-
otherwise-
Just
I
pull
got-
up close to the curb and put out cones.
Sometimes when trucks like that back up over areas, they have a big thick piece of
Yeah, it's in the
plywood.
car.
They can plop down and disperses the weight rather than put it all in one spot. And I'm a little surprised they're not doing that, especially when it's wet. And usually that'll solve
I
the
live in
problem.
the dark.
We will
Like a
make
5/8, 3/4 inch plywood they
TV is
carry
on all
on
day
the
long.
truck with them for that exact
Either
purpose.
that or stay in the street.
Stay in the
And
street.
use cones.
Or you had company, whatever.
But sometimes it's also access to be able to length of the equipment they have, the hoses, closer they get, the better it works, whatever.
And that's what I was gonna check on. I don't work lift stations. I could not even begin to try to tell you what they were doing, so I don't know if it was like they had to reach a hose over there, or it was a vac truck. I don't know.
But
I
I
try to stay
suggest-
away from those.
Right, I agree. If they're gonna go up and they have no choice, then they should bring something with them.
But, and, you know, if we made that, we need to repair it.
Yep.
And
Alright.
it has been ongoing for a long time. I agree.
I was watching them dig, and then they were digging deeper, and then they were digging deeper, and it just, God forbid.
That poor kid, huh?
Yeah.
He gets a workout.
Okay, we go with L?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, folks. Have a wonderful
you.
afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you too. All right, so we're gonna go back over there and check that out in a little bit, and,
Can I
we're
bring
gonna
the
nail
cement
that.
slab?
What's that?
The cement slab?
Oh, yeah, sure. Whereabouts is that cement slab? It's,
Down near, the loop, if I remember correctly.
Which loop?
the second enter.
Stone Valley.
Stone Valley, not the one down by Greenstone, but the other end.
I think it's,
So
I
it's,
think,
it's a
yeah.
slab that we're not using.
They put it in, and then the bench was not gonna, from what I understand, the bench was not gonna sit level, it was gonna be on a slant.
Correct.
So they didn't, put the bench there, they moved it and put it someplace.
So we need to really just break that thing up and remove it and put some new sod in.
Probably.
Yeah, that's all you need is sod in there.
How thick of a pad do they think they poured?
Usually 4 inches, I thought they were gonna pour.
So they actually poured a complete pad, huh? It wasn't like they
I
started it. I haven't
I'm
seen
not
it
sure
either.
if this is, that's a damn good question, because it isn't a finished surface on it. It's rough. We gotta take a look at it.
Maybe we can stop by there too.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just take a second to walk up there.
Cause
if we
maybe
look
someone
at
can
it.
just go over there and break it up and remove it, and we
It
can
may
throw
not
some
be that
sod.
easy, you might need a piece of equipment there, it'll be hard. Well, we'll see. In any case, we'll hold off, we held off on that 1,300, we'll take a look at that, but 1,300, I'm not even sure.
I've got the information on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, Nicole stated a concrete pad was installed and then removed, and she requested sod to be inserted. It was decided a concrete pad was poured in the wrong location regarding the new benches.
Yeah, I don't think the concrete pad was removed.
I
I
was
could,
gonna say, I don't think it was.
yeah,
It's right past Stone Valley on the left-hand side, right?
as you're heading toward me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and there's sometimes like an orange cone there, or what's that orange cone?
No,
for?
I don't know
No.
about that.
No?
It's
No.
kind of up on that hill.
It's up on the
Okay.
hill.
It's up on a hill.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a concrete pad in there.
Well, hopefully they're
We'll
not.
take a look at it. If there's
Take a
not,
look
then we
to
just throw
verify.
some sod in
She
there.
said that it was removed.
And she would know, cause she walks her dog there
Yeah, yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But I do remember it being on a hill and it
Huh?
wouldn't have been,
Oh.
wouldn't sit right.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one or two more things to bring up. And unfortunately, one of the reasons that Margaret is here and that we were hoping to see April is that we got a couple of charges charged to our 004 account. And that's one of the things you have over here. If you look where the orange marker is, we received a,
Here.
No, I know what that is.
I should have had copies of 2 pages, not just 1 page.
Is this a Tetra Tech bill?
Yeah, and I gotta, well, one of my questions about this has to do with why there were 2 bills from one individual on 2 different days for 2 hours. One's on the 27th and one's on the 28th, and I just don't know. What we asked them to do was, and I asked Scott to see if he can get someone to give me an estimate to repair the walk. And these guys went out there and walked up and down, and I don't know if they took measurements or what they did, but I will tell you, the only thing I've ever received, and I've asked for it before, is a statement saying that it would cost about $150,000 for what we're gonna be doing for about $60,000, as it turns out. And that, more information would be following. I never received any more information, and the only thing we ever got was I see 2 $250 charges and a $165 charge. And, frankly, not happy about that, and there was a street sign submittal review, 2 charges for that.
I think you're only getting charged for the 165, that's why he's got the lines drawn.
I think those lines were drawn by, was that you drawing the lines? No?
I don't think so, that's Scott's writing.
Okay,
All the rest of those charges go to the capital improvement, the 300 fund, where down below it says others.
gotcha, I couldn't read that.
So your charge is the 160, because I code these,
I see,
I do a lot of these codings.
all right, gotcha.
So we still got charged how much?
165, yeah, asphalt pavement, okay. So that was, are you telling me that
Well, we
wasn't
still never
coded
got,
correctly?
we still never got a bill, an
I never-
invoice,
well-
or
well,
an estimate.
I never got anything in writing for whatever work was done, and that's true.
Okay, so
I'm
you,
willing to, yeah, I should have received something, to justify the bill.
okay, so that was Tyler or Danny,
Yeah, it was, Danny was involved, that's correct.
okay.
Now, there's another one that's,
See how he separated that, this account line, and others are all the rest.
So who's being charged for the 250?
It's
The
the
300.
capital improvement.
Okay, all right, so, okay, I was
Every-
reading the first two
every-
as being ours.
Everything
Gotcha,
but that one.
gotcha.
I
misread it
understand
too.
how Scott does it, did his thing, so.
Okay,
now,
but I think that, that still got charged to, I think there was, we were looking at we had
disbursements,
the disbursements and there was the charge from Tony that we figured out what that was for. And then the 465 was,
seem to correspond, but 465 would even correspond to those numbers.
No.
was engineering. Remember, there was that email I had, and I asked her for what that was.
This is for the woman that works under Steve
Yeah.
from Severn
Well,
Trent?
she's the one that emailed that to me, because only 165 of that amount was
Is it Sonia?
Tony.
Sonia, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we check with that somehow?
Sure.
What actually got paid? Because they might even been double
I'll forward
paid.
my correspondence to you,
Yeah.
Diane, so you know what we're talking
Okay.
about, because we had asked her for the detail of how we got those charges.
Now, all of this, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, was originally charged as legal expenses, is that correct?
All of it was, yeah.
Before, and then we found that there was a coding problem.
Mhm.
We found out the only legal expense was like $157, I believe, $150 plus a $7.50 charge miscellaneous, and unfortunately, oh, here it is. Woodward and Piers, we got a bill, and I don't know if everybody here is aware of this, but apparently we had a couple of residents at Stoneybrook call up because they were upset about parking in the street.
Yeah.
Well, Scott should have probably contacted me or our office or something. This is something we've gone around over this with Tony in the past. And Tony should have known that, in my opinion. But he did look it over again and review the parking requirements on our street. And because of the width of the street, as it's my understanding, being 20 feet wide, there is a restriction about parking in that street. And he billed us the 004 account for $150 plus $750 miscellaneous for reviewing this. My problem with this is that I do not believe, and if someone disagrees with me, please tell me, that we should be charged every single time a Gateway resident calls the Gateway office.
Stoneybrook resident.
Well, this case,
Yeah.
it was a Stoneybrook resident. But I think that other residents call the office for questions about issues they have within their community sometimes. And I'm not sure that they're getting billed for such things that we are. It's not a lot of money, but I don't
It's the
think we should be incurring legal expenses unless we're aware of it.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Margaret?
My comment to that effect is that if you lived in Gateway Greens and you called about, say, the lakes and you wanted a legal opinion, that would get paid out of the 001 fund. Well, Stoneybrook residents pay into the 001 fund also, just like the Gateway
Everybody
Greens.
else.
So as far as something like that, that isn't, I understand it's like specific to Stoneybrook because it was a Stoneybrook resident, but it still was a request that was made by Scott, not this committee, for legal advice. And I think this, any legal bill should be something that comes out of the committee.
If it's gonna be billed to the 004 account.
Right.
I can remember there was the Mercedes community that is, what do they call that now? Daniels Preserve had lake problems, and they were severe lake problems with pollution. And residents had called and complained. I'm sure they didn't get a bill, for legal advice on that Gateway received, if you know what I'm saying. Since we do pay into the 001 fund, I think that should have been, an 001 fund issue. I'm just concerned that and that means to me that any resident can call Gateway with a question, and then we might get a bill.
I think this particular thing is because Scott did pursue it with district council, because he had so many people calling him.
It might have been the same people calling over and over again.
Well, they got that little,
There's a little clique all on one street that, they're on a mission. And frankly, I think that should have been handed over to the HOA or to this committee, one or the other. And if it's gonna be with council, then it's on Gateway. I really do believe that, and,
I've got that written down.
okay.
You feel it should be in the 001 is
Yeah,
as
I mean, we
opposed to
pay money into
004.
that for the same purpose. I mean, and I know we're not the only people that call Gateway with issues. And otherwise, my suggestion to our board will be, and I don't know how they feel, is that we're gonna bill these residents for legal advice they apparently asked for then. I'm sure that'll go over real well.
None of would stop it. And if the word got out,
Well,
It might stop it, but it might occur more.
at least one of these people, I think, is running for our board next time around, so it'll
That's
be
what I was just
interesting.
gonna ask.
Ah.
I do recall when it happened, because it was like a public record request, and I had to go back and find all the old documentation and try to figure out how the rules got established and.
Well, do us a favor, and I know, with April, I'm not sure how the relationship is gonna work, how she approaches these kind of problems, and I was hoping to establish that tonight, this afternoon rather. But we'd like to be part of it, or have some input on that, because I'd like to avoid having to go to Tony for everything. This is something that had been handled, resolved, and discussed on more than one occasion in the past.
With-
And
with-
maybe
with
some of that predates, even predates, you know, it goes back to Al Abdo, I guess, when we had those discussions. Yes, Margaret?
And it even goes back to Bill Knight.
Bill
but
Knight, right.
I think that Tony and maybe even the people that do the coding forget that Stoneybrook pays the full vote into the 001 fund, that, you know, the 004 fund was really established to maintain the properties the CDD owns inside
exactly.
our community. So, although, like you had asked for information on the walkway, and you wanted engineering to take a look at it, that's different. You didn't, this
Yeah.
committee didn't ask Tony to look up anything. And we probably, had we known, would have been able to find all those emails on our own that Tony pulled up and forwarded.
Yeah, because it wasn't the first time we had seen them.
Yeah.
Is that where that 750 occurred from, was from him pulling the public
No,
public request?
That 750 was more having to do with some overbilling on the, from the engineering side. And apparently that was reduced, right? All we got was, 750 was $7.50. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized what you were saying. Yeah, no, it was 150
Well, you're
plus
talking
7.
attorney, when you say 750,
I
I'm
know.
never,
Yeah.
I'm never thinking $7.50.
That's a couple of phone calls.
That's not even a couple phone calls.
It's dialing.
That's dialing. Yeah. That's letting it ring.
Exactly.
But, no,
Okay,
the 750 was
$7.50.
miscellaneous, I don't know, probably
So we only wrote that
stationary.
bill
I don't know.
165.
Not even, 157.
157, okay.
Yeah. And,
So the bill is a lot less than what I always.
No, no, in your
Okay.
mind, no.
Is that the only one that thought that, or?
Maybe, I don't know.
No.
I don't know, maybe everybody else did too, I don't know, I apologize for that. No, it was just a point, I don't want to establish a precedent, I don't think we should be charged for residents calling Gateway
No, they
looking
shouldn't.
for,
So what you
advice.
would like, to make sure I have this right, to have April approach you anytime there's something like this regarding Stoneybrook, to talk to you first prior to
If
going
there's issues,
to
now
district council.
parking really is kind of an HOA issue, really.
Yeah.
More than it is a Gateway issue, even though I know you own the roads, but we kind of manage, we have that understanding and
Bylaws.
agreement to manage those assets. We have our own rules and regulations, and in fact, we are following the law. And that's what they're upset about, and the law says there's no parking.
And it's in the bylaws.
Yeah, it's in the bylaws, but those bylaws were designed to follow the law, the ordinance.
It would have been easier if it was done from day one, but 2 years
Well,
down the road now, they're wanting.
This is going to be a subject of discussion going
Yeah.
forward, I will tell you that, and I'll leave it at that.
We are gonna
Um,
create a committee though at the next board meeting to see if these residents can figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
There's already been years invested in this by the board and other volunteers in our community. We'll see what they come up with.
So with that, yes, I wish we had a chance to discuss that with April, if you could mention it to her. I really don't think that should have been charged to us, that should have
Okay.
gone the old one.
Okay.
Hey, we pay the same amount as anybody else in this community, with the exception of obviously Pelican.
Okay.
Anybody have any other comments? If not, I will go to.
Margaret, Joe, Margaret.
Okay, well, I'm getting out there. I wasn't done. I'm not taking the motions yet.
I had two things.
All right, I'll go to the audience first. Audience requests, how's that?
I have a request actually from our, board president, and he would like to have a stop sign added at the Greenstone Pebble Brook Boulevard corner. I had talked to Scott about this, but I think it probably got, lost.
Turning left onto Pebblestone?
Yeah, he'd
Yeah.
like to make that a three-way
Pebblebrook.
stop.
I'm in Pebblebrook.
A three-way stop, because apparently there's been some close calls and there was one accident there.
Yeah, well,
I know
that
two of
one
you-
woman, I think if the stop sign was there, it wouldn't have made a difference. She would have blown right through it with her Lamborghini,
No, Maserati.
Maserati. Yeah, close.
Whatever.
That's the poor man's Lamborghini.
Um,
Poor man's Ferrari.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it that, I remember being on that street, I don't remember it being that bad.
Well, people do cut that corner close though, when they come around.
They're cutting it in.
Yeah, I don't know if the stop sign solves that problem either though. But,
I'm just making the request to the committee to consider that.
Well, you're on that street, so what do you think?
I like not having a stop sign. That's what I
That,
did.
that was my opinion too, when I lived on that street. That's one last stop you gotta make going down.
Nick lives on that street.
Yes, he does.
What do you think?
Greenstone and Puddle Brook?
I think, I've seen people come through, you're talking down your street.
No, no.
No, no.
Your street, Greenstone.
Coming down
Greenstone,
Greenstone, we do not have a stop sign.
You're the only one that doesn't.
they'd
have
want a stop sign,
Because
when
we're
you get to
special.
that house that was just for sale, they want a stop sign before you turn left on the Pebblebrook, getting out of here. Would you wanna stop to go down Pebblebrook, or do you like making that this nice turn?
I can't see that.
It just doesn't seem like there's that much traffic. to
I
make
don't
it a major
think
issue,
so.
but, I'll tell you what, can we ponder that and not bring it up today, but
I'll
we'll
tell you
talk
though,
about
some
that?
people come down Greenstone, they're really zipping too, and fly into that
Well,
turn.
To turn
the
left.
Maserati's one of them, and there are a couple others, I
Yeah.
agree. But my point was, I don't know that a stop sign would have any impact on it.
I don't either.
We should fix our rest area signs before adding any new ones.
I just wanted to pass the request along, because that was where it came from.
I'm surprised he didn't say anything to me, because I saw him just before I came here. Okay.
He asked me if I had passed it along, and I said I had talked to Scott about it, but, now that he's left, I'm sure it probably nothing happened with it, because it was
Is
right.
that Paul Kilmer?
Kilmar.
Paul Kilmer,
Yeah.
And
Anything?
that's, the other thing is, I know on Gateway Boulevard, this is, on Gateway Boulevard, they've just put up fresh new signs, and they look exactly like the signs that are in, Stoneybrook. And I'd like to find out who the vendor is, because the ones that we need to fix and replace, maybe we can use that same.
I actually
vendor.
had requested that previously, and it probably fell between the cracks with the changeover.
It's a Rect.
Yeah.
The company is ARETE.
AR.
Hey, I'm in a meeting, I'm gonna call you back.
Okay.
And I can get you more about it. Off the top of my head, I know that's the name of it.
Yeah, if you would, send that to me,
Sure.
that'd be great, cause I know we've got a lot of signs that we need to fix or replace.
Okay.
Oh, we sure do.
And that's something that I really, I know that, Christie she went out and did a survey of all the signs, and she was gonna put that on a spreadsheet. I think that that's something that I would prefer the committee took over, that we do it through 004 and not the HOA.
We can try that, the sales tax savings certainly. But I will tell you this, I don't know, we have to take a look at that budget to see how much room we have for that, because that's gonna be expensive.
Well, I mean, even if you created a replacement plan, like that they would be replaced over the next 3 to 5 years, so many a year.
That's a possibility we can explore. I will tell you this, though, and not all of them. I think there was a couple that were damaged before Mainscapes even came into our community, but a lot of them have been damaged by Mainscapes. And I think we need to get serious about talking to these guys about,
There's also,
stepping up
you
to the
know,
plate on this.
missing sign, there's the one that got removed
We
off
talked about the
Bluestone.
speed sign.
Yeah, and it, I don't know whatever happened to it, for a while it was back in the shop, but.
Now it's gone.
I haven't been back there to look for it in a while. But that's been years,
I know.
it's been gone since Jesse was here, he's the one that picked it up.
I do remember that. Kathy, you have anything?
Nada.
Janice? Anything? JT?
None, just, now that Nicole's gone, are we gonna be looking for maybe a new member, or are we just gonna hang out with this, yes, for a while?
Let's talk about that, okay? We don't need to talk about it right now, I think, but
Okay.
we will explore that account, see what would you think possibly a request if anybody's interested in email blast or something like that? And we can look at that?
Depends on how many members you wanna have.
One
I
more,
think that's the-
maybe.
I think
If
7
maybe.
was a good number.
Seven was a good number.
I think it's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
4 is reasonable to get, out of the 7. Okay.
That would be to request, I guess. You wanna do it through the HOA?
I was thinking through the HOA, just we can communicate with the residents easier than they can,
Okay.
and send down an email blast, and then.
Joe might
Huh?
wanna come back
For
on.
candidate.
Who?
Joe DePrima?
Oh, geez,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
I don't think so. All right, I do have one more thing, and this is something that the community has been working on for a while. And as you're, I'm sure, all aware of, we have signed a new security contract with a new company. And they are scheduled to start on the 1st. I did discuss this with April previously, and I know that Margaret had brought it up with her, and once again, I wish she was here to go into this a little bit more. And her position at that discussion was that she was working with me and this committee and with Tony. So what I've done is I've brought our contract that starts on the 1st. It is named in our name. The vendor at a drop of a hat will redo it and put Gateway's name, but our goal is to have it with Gateway, and as you know, be part of the contract that we manage the situation.
That's for
over.
tax purposes.
But this is for tax purposes. There is no additional cost or responsibility being placed on Gateway. It is essentially the same thing. This is solely to save sales tax, that's all.
I saw something.
That's what I was gonna ask her if she had an opportunity to talk to Tony about it, because she was going to.
Seems to me, did Scott check into that? Why do I think I saw an email?
I don't
If
think
something came.
Did he check with
I don't think it was
Pelican?
decided by then.
No, nothing was decided, but we were in the process, and I brought it up to him as a feeler to start paving the way. And this is the first opportunity. This thing was just signed last
Why
week,
did
so.
I think he talked to them and sent an email out saying that
Alert.
they pay tax?
Oh, that email was about, what happened is that Pelican, I assumed must have it in Gateway's name, but they do not.
They do not.
They have it in
Yep,
their known name,
That's correct.
and they do pay sales
They
tax.
do pay tax.
And I think when they find out what we're trying to do, that may change. But keep in mind, Pelican is still run by WCI. And their board is a declaring board, so even that committee has no say in that technically, really. That is,
Do you want me to see if she is here and available?
okay,
I'm gonna have,
understood.
Start running now.
yeah, I'd like to make it home by 5:00.
5 o'clock.
I asked if she ran here.
Thank you.
See you,
Take
Margaret.
care.
Hey, Margaret, before you leave, I think I might have made a comment to you, and since the gatehouse is owned by Gateway Services, I brought up with Paul about maybe getting this gatehouse cleaned up and maybe painted and doing some work before alert actually shows up.
He's actually working on a plan.
Yeah,
He's,
we're actually gonna look at doing cabinets and the ergonomics of everything.
But that's something that we can do in
Yeah.
Stoneybrook. That has nothing to do with Gateway Services, since
Yeah,
it's their building.
yeah, it's part of our management thing. We won't
Okay.
pay that on bill for it, we'll do that.
it
Well-
shouldn't be a huge amount of money.
Yeah, no. But I think I'd like to have something turned over
And
to them
ownership
nicely.
of the hardware and security equipment and computers is ours, it's not
Right.
theirs, so.
But painting the
Anyway.
inside is.
The exterior of the building has basically been taken care of by
Yeah.
the CD.
Not too long ago, too.
We maintain the inside.
Okay, cool.
Take care, Margaret. I wish Margaret was here when you were here, but now we have a little bread and butter going on here. But there was a question. I have the contract that we have with a new security vendor. And it's our desire to have this actually be in Gateway's name. And it was my understanding that you were going to get in touch with Tony concerning that. I don't think it should be a problem. It has no impact on Gateway, other
Yeah.
than the saving of sales tax.
Right, I had, I talked to Tony about it, and he said it would be fine if we took that on. But I had made some notes that it was currently on hold because I thought you needed to split out the contract. Did you successfully split
Yes.
out the contract?
Yes.
I think it was between the gatehouse and the cookhouse.
That's
or something
correct.
like
We have
that.
two separate contracts with this vendor, one
Okay.
for the gatehouse and one for us. And I have a copy of what we do have here right now, if you can pass that over. And if you can read it and even copy it over to Tony, just for quick review. He's actually seen something very similar from us before. There might be a couple of subtle changes. And the vendor has agreed, not a problem, to, after the fact, make a name change so that we get the tax exemption.
Okay, so can I have this copy to
Absolutely, that's what I
forward
brought
on
for,
to
yeah,
him?
yeah.
So right now, you've executed an agreement with them,
Effective 4/1.
okay, and so are you wanting to, and then you're wanting to convert this over into the district's name?
Yeah, basically make a name change. If
Okay.
they wanna brand an entire new document with new signatures and names, that's not a problem. Whatever needs to be done, we can do it. But, I'm just telling you that the vendor understands and is more than willing to work with us on it.
Okay, yeah, I'll scan this in and get it over to Tony and have him review it, but yeah, we did have a conversation, he said it wouldn't be a problem.
Good, that's what I hear. I mean, it's $9,000 in savings and, that we can better spend elsewhere.
Right.
Do you have anything for us? I'm sorry that you
I
missed
d-
our meeting.
I don't, and I apologize, I've been swamped and they're trying to get stuff on the
I'm sure
agenda.
you are.
But they don't like things coming forward to them and not on the agenda, so today is that deadline, so I apologize. And plus, we've been interviewing, I was over at ST, we were interviewing for the utilities manager position, so
Mhm.
I was out.
Okay. Do you have anything for us then, other than that?
No.
Anybody have anything for April?
No.
Nope,
And I think you were all here. Is anybody seeing April for the first time?
Me.
Okay, April has replaced Scott Connell. Scott has last.
Hi.
This is Virginia.
hi Virginia, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I think we're good.
All right.
Any, no other comments then?
Nope.
Thank
I'll-
you.
I'll
All right,
entertain a
great.
motion. Thank you.
I'll keep you posted.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to
Oh,
adjourn?
put a hold on that. We always forget to get the date for the
Oh,
next.
No, we're good, April.
April
Thank you.
13th?
Yeah, April 13th is good for everyone?
I will not be here, I have a meeting in Tampa that day.
Okay. So, well, hopefully Tom will be here, but we have 4 without you, but just in case to eliminate the closeness of it. All right,
Next
so April
meeting is
13th.
April 13th?
April 13th.
Is that what's on the,
Yep, second Wednesday in
Yep.
April.
that's it?
All right, now I'll take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Who gets a second?
Someone needs to get it.
Someone gotta get a second.
I'll second
All
it.
right, we gotta pick for a
Everyone's
second.
all
All in
scared.
favor?
Geez, everybody wants to
Aye,
stay.
aye, aye.
We're out of here.
I was gonna say, you wanna stay?
So much fun.
That new construction they're doing on